Hello, welcome back. Today I want to talk a little bit about doubt and about faith. There are certain times, I'm sure, in everyone's life, and you can look back on your own and reflect a little bit, where doubt maybe takes over. Maybe doubt regarding a job or getting a new job or moving to a new location, or maybe just doubt about life itself. And we may ask ourselves, is this really all there is? And is what I've been doing really going to make a difference? And does God really care? And if God really cares, does God really even exist? And if God does exist, why is there so much suffering in this world? And if we think we must be a terrible person for having such questions and such doubts, all we have to do is read some of Mother Teresa's writings to understand that this truly holy woman had grave doubts herself, which actually haunted her for at least 40 years of her life. Toward the end of her life, she even wrote to her spiritual director and she said, "My own soul remains in deep darkness and desolation." She lived a long life without really understanding, yet it was her faith that kept her going. She willingly sacrificed the earlier consolations that she had received for the challenge of living her life in pure faith. So, who is this God? What image do I have of God? Is it God, the just judge, the silent God who allows suffering? Or is it the God who's on the side of kindness? Is that the kind of God that we want, that we are looking for? And maybe we can look at the scriptures, certainly, because it is Jesus who shows us the clearest picture of who God is. And Jesus tells us that we see the face of God when we care for one another in love and generosity and tenderness and self-giving and selflessness. And this is the kind of God that we believe in. This is the kind of God that we read about in the New Testament. This is the kind of God that Jesus reveals to us. It is this kind of God. Jesus's life and preaching shows us that the divine and the human are intermingled, and that to see a human person living a loving, totally gracious life is to see the face of God. And there's no doubt that we would have doubts in our life. Our life is filled with doubts. But it is important then to look at the scriptures and to look at who Jesus is, because Jesus shows us the true face of God. And sometimes the face of God can be right in front of us. We just have to look for kindness, care, love, and generosity, and then we will be encountering the face of God. Which makes me think of a story, a once upon a time story. So let me read this to you. There was a Sufi called Mullah Nasruddin who smuggled treasure across the border and masterfully eluded the guards. And every day for 4 years, he paraded back and forth, and with every crossing, the guards knew that he was hiding expensive goods that he would sell for outrageous amounts of money on the other side. But despite their thorough searches, and despite the fact that they could see that he was prospering, they could find nothing in the saddle of the donkey that he rode. Finally, years later, after Mullah Nasruddin had moved to another country, he met the frontier guard. And the frontier guard went up to him and said, "Okay, you can tell me now, what were you smuggling?" The mullah smiled broadly at him and said, "My dear friend, I was smuggling donkeys." That story always makes me wonder how many times I might have missed the face of God because I was too busy looking someplace else to realize that God was right in front of me. So don't look far, look right where you are. And where there is kindness and love, there is God. And God is love. Thank you. Have a good week.